Now, page 4, the utter hypocrisy of the rioting and reactions by blue city mayors. How many times did we hear over the weekend from these liberal politicians that peaceful protest is okay, that we all share the outrage? Sounds a lot like we're all in this together part 2, doesn't it? Except, what happened to the pandemic during all this? What happened to the social distancing? What happened to safer at home? You know, the lockdown? What happened to no gathering of more than 10 people? In the Windy City, for example, we saw plenty of gathering and mask wearing, but not for health purposes. Oh no. The mask wearing was to conceal identity, and it was to riot and loot and assault with impunity.
The Guard is here to support our police department. They will not.
Is indignant that the National Guard that President Trump sent in to Chicago is on her city streets. She's indignant and upset about it. She's saying, effectively, that the National Guard is just a visitor and they're going to do whatever the local Chicago police tell them to do. And, of course, she tells the police what to do. So they're under her thumb. In reality, she's lost control of her city. But she won't, of course, admit that. The other thing she won't admit, and she won't come out and say, and none of these politicians are coming out and saying, every time they say, well, it started out as peaceful. You heard the refrain from the mainstream media mostly, right? All weekend long, I heard, it started out as peaceful. It started out as a peaceful protest. And then we have these politicians come out and they say, oh, it's a peaceful protest, and then there are a few bad apples. Nonsense. If you are standing on a freeway, in the middle of the freeway, not on the side, but in the middle of the freeway in lanes, or if you're standing in the middle of a busy street in a major city, that is criminal. That is not what you do in a civil society. But what we don't hear from these mayors and these governors is that 99% of police officers, 99% follow the law. Of course there are some good bad apples, just like there are bad apples in law enforcement, just like there are some bad apples in every industry. Whether it's men and women of the cloth, there are some bad apples, or all the way up through the federal government. We know there are many bad apples in the swamp. The bottom line is most police officers are good people who follow the law and don't want to do anybody any harm. And it would go a long way for a mayor like this one, Mayor Lightfoot, to come out and say, you know what? Most police officers are good people, so stand down. Most police officers follow the law, so stop rioting. Most police officers are there to defend you, so why don't you go back home where you're supposedly safer at home? But no. All we hear is excusing the rioters, excusing the looters, and nothing, deafening silence about the police officers trying to maintain police and order in a city like Chicago, in certain areas that has spun out of control and private property is being attacked. And this should be the #1 job of a mayor or a governor, any civil leader. The #1 job should be to preserve the constitutional rights of its citizens, of its residents. And when private property is attacked, that is an attack on the individual. It is tantamount to an assault on a person. Roll tape.
Not be actively involved in policing or patrolling, but here as needed support.
Stop tape, yeah. So in other words, she's just reiterating what I just said, and that is the National Guard. She doesn't want to have them in her city, but okay, they're here, and we'll give them remedial jobs. Maybe they can enforce the mask mandate, or they can make sure people are safer at home, but they're not going to have any major roles. It's all going to be subordinate to her.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.